My cheerful greeting died as my lips grew numb, my mouth dry. My heart beat in strange little jerks, and I tightened my hand on the railing beside me. If I'd not clutched it, I'd have tumbled back down the steps. It was her, Charlotte, Mrs. Joseph Bristow. The woman who'd been married to my husband in the years I believed I'd been his wife. I recognised her because after Joe had died and I'd discovered Charlotte's existence, I'd found out all I could about her. I'd never introduced myself or spoken to her, or even made myself known to her. I'd discovered that she lived in Bristol, but had come to London to wrap up Joe's affairs. I knew where she'd taken rooms and what she looked like, and realised with dismay that the little boy who followed her closely must be Joe's son. His legitimate son. I'd learned quite a lot about Charlotte before I convinced myself that I should put her from my mind. She'd returned to Bristol before long, and I'd shifted my focus to my own troubles. I'd been about to bear a child, and I needed to find a way to keep my daughter, his daughter, fed. Charlotte pinned me with eyes that were hard and brown under her dark straw hat. "You know me?" For a long moment I could not move, could not speak. At last I managed a nod. Charlotte studied me in every detail, as I had studied her 12 years ago. She'd been quite pretty then, with sleek dark hair parted in the middle and swept back in wings on either side of her face. Pink-cheeked, fresh-faced, slightly plump, pleasant-looking. She'd resembled me a bit, I'd realised, in a superficial manner. Similar hair and eye colour, neither of us tall or lean. She'd been in mourning black, but had smiled at her son with fondness. I'd watched her from the other side of a street with my throat closed, not certain why I'd wanted to know anything about her. If I encountered her, what would I say? The sight of the boy, a lad so small and vulnerable, had convinced me to not approach her at all. He was innocent in all Joe's machinations, as innocent as Grace. The thought of Grace gave me courage. "Do you know me?" I countered. "You call yourself Miss Holloway," she said stiffly. "Mrs. Holloway," I corrected her. "Cooks and housekeepers are Mrs. regardless." Charlotte eyed me unimpressed. The years had not been kind to her, I noted with an unbecoming flicker of satisfaction. Her complexion had grown sallow, her hair now more frizzled than sleek. And she had lines of exhaustion about her red-rimmed eyes. Joe had left me penniless. He'd specified nothing to me in his will, naming only his legitimate wife. He could not have left Charlotte much better off, as the man had never had many coins to rub together. "You were Joe's paramour," Charlotte said. "His bit on the side. I hated you for a long time, but I must put that aside and ask for your help." She spoke as though each word singed her tongue. The last barely emerged at all. I regarded her in amazement. My help? Why on earth should I help you? I'd meant to inquire why she'd sought me, of all people, for assistance, but the sentence leapt from me in all bitterness. "Because you stand to make a few quid from it," Charlotte said. Her answer made my curiosity flicker, but old anger that should have died years ago flared anew. I'd been quite unhappy living with Joe, but to discover that I'd stayed with him only because of a lie had nearly destroyed me. I'd blamed Joe squarely, but I'd also blamed this woman for stealing the life that ought to have been mine. "I hardly need your money," I said with all my dignity. "I have a respectable position and want for nothing." I could have explained that households in Mayfair would offer me the highest wages in order to put my food on their tables, and that I was rarely out of position for long. Also that I could demand a day and a half out a week as a condition of my employment, and been granted it without argument. But I held my tongue. I would not compete with Charlotte Bristow for accolades. My life had turned out far better than it would have done had Joe lived. I was well aware. I'd gain nothing from crowing about that. "This might be more than a few quid," she snapped. I tightened my hand on the railing. "Please explain yourself. I have much to do." Charlotte scowled.